I'll come back to you all in just a minute. I want to expand this conversation, though, on the prospects of a new Fed chair, and maybe if it is Kevin Hassett. Let's welcome in Richard Fisher. He's the former Dallas Fed president. He joins us now. We wanted you so high in our show because the market liked this report. Do you like the report?
Yeah, look, it would follow tradition. Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke all came as former heads of the Council of Economic Advisors. Even that's where Kevin Hassett was before. And we've always talked about the two Kevins. Now, the only drawback to Kevin Hassett is he's not as photogenic as Kevin Warsh. You know, the president likes good-looking people, and Kevin's a handsome guy. But I think it follows with tradition. I think Hassett is highly respected, probably more respected by the Federal Reserve staff, particularly at the board level, than Kevin, although Kevin's very talented and capable. So I'm not surprised. And remember, he has to convince the committee to go his way. So I wouldn't get overexcited. I like to remind people that when Volcker was there, we had 4 governors vote against him when Reagan had instructed those 4 governors to argue for a discount rate cut, and Volcker resisted. He had 4 governors vote against him. Alan Greenspan had 2 governors and a president vote against him at one interval. As you know, Ben Bernanke had 3 presidents vote against him. I was one of them. On a couple of occasions. So there's too much made out of this division. And as Scott Bessent said this morning, I thought it was an excellent interview on Squawk Box. These aren't, they're put up like baseball cards, but, you know, the fact is they're just trying to do their earnest best, focus on what's right for the U.S. economy. And I don't think Hassett or even Warsh would be any different in that regard. They're going to have to convince the committee. And that's what is going on right now. As to Williams, I don't believe he would have said a word without Powell's approval. Same thing with Mary Daly, who just talked about this recently, highly regarded San Francisco Fed.
The reason, Richard, why people aren't necessarily surprised at all by the Hassett name being floated, whether it's a trial balloon to see what the market does or not, who knows, but it's because there is a belief, at least in some corners, that Hassett would simply do the president's bidding. President wants rate cuts. Hassett's he's going to cut rates, or certainly he's going to advocate for it with the committee.
Yeah, but look at Myron. He hasn't been able to convince. Good guy, by the way, but he hasn't been able to convince anybody else on committee of his arguments.
I know, but with all respect to Myron as a governor, he's not the chair.
That's true, but the chair has to convince the committee, and I just gave you one of the most glaring examples. The most powerful, most significant Fed chairman in our history, Paul Volcker, had 4 governors vote against him. So this is something that a chair has to do, and he's going to have to really get the committee behind him and convince they are not dictators. They are consensus builders within the committee. That's how it works, no matter who the Fed chairman is.
But for a president who I think has made no secret of the fact that he likes loyalty from those that he appoints into positions that he has the power to do so, do you
like Powell, for example? He appointed him.
Yeah. Do you take this name in any way, if it becomes true, to be a mark on the independence of the Fed, given the person who's making the appointment and how we know he feels about the people he appoints to different jobs?
Yeah, you know I worry about that, Scott. But I was very impressed again. I love the way Bessent expressed this morning. He's learned a lot since he's become Secretary of the Treasury, how complicated the Fed is, and how it's just not simply about the rate cuts or the balance sheet or just the regulatory side. It's a complex organization. So I thought that was a way of sort of backing away from the president's focus on rates. Whoever's in charge, in my opinion, given that there are 18 other people at the table that they have to carry, is going to have to worry about what's best in terms of delivering on the dual mandate. And if they go too far, they carry on too far, and let's say they adopted Steve Myron's approach to, and they got the committee to do it, my view is the markets would go through spasms, feeling that the independence has been thrown to the wayside. I doubt that's going to happen, even though this president would like to get control of everything. But he also backs off of things once he makes strong declarations, and I think a Hassett appointment would be backing off somewhat, particularly given what Bessent said this morning.